Let the minutes show that adequate notice of this meeting. Is that better?
Yeah, it's much better.
Much better. Okay, great.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone, while we figured that out.
Thank you.
We'll try it again now when we do roll call. So if you could please do roll call.
Councilmember Cooper? Councilmember Cooper? Councilmember Patopoulos?
Here.
Councilmember Good?
Here.
Councilmember McDermott? Here. Councilmember Pacheco?
Here.
Councilmember Sheridan?
Here.
Mayor Kennedy?
Here.
And for the record, Administrator Thomas Henshaw? Here. And Attorney Mark Moore?
Here.
Great. Is that better, everyone?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so now if everyone could please, if you're at home, rise and look at the flag at home maybe. We'll do that here in the chamber. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If everyone could remain standing, we're going to do 2 moments of silence similar to how we did them at our last meeting. Our first moment of silence is dedicated to the frontline workers, including police, EMTs, firefighters, nurses, doctors, support staff at hospitals, our DPW, and all of our other staff. Thank you. Our second moment of silence is dedicated to all of the New Jersey residents and all the people around the globe who have lost their lives to the COVID-19 virus.
Mayor Kennedy, you have a terrible echo. I don't know whether there are people that are just on their phones and you're getting an echo from that or what.
Okay.
Mayor, are you dialed in and on the computer in Borough Hall?
So what we're trying to do is we also have a speakerphone on to just disconnect that whole call and see how that goes. How's that?
Better.
Awesome. Yay! Thank you for everyone's participation. I'm going to go right into the committee report. Councilmember Cooper,
Mayor Kennedy, now we cannot hear you.
Can't hear you, Mayor.
how about now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. So now we're going to go into committee reports. Councilman Cooper. Councilman Patopoulos.
Thank you, Mayor. The Harbor Commission did meet this week. We would like to work with the attorney, Mark, to send a letter to the owners of Port 149 and their attorney to inquire what their intent is with regard to building the bulkhead. They've not responded, nor have we really followed up on the offer to utilize RAB, redevelopment area bond, to share the burden of building the bulkhead together so we don't have a broken tooth. But we feel pretty strongly, and Councilwoman Pacheco would agree, that we need to build the broken tooth area along with them building the bulkhead their property so as to mitigate any issues that might occur with flooding and whatnot. that's a discussion that I'd like to have with the attorney, and we can move forward after that. We've also apparently received some inquiries from Captain Vic regarding his lease and or license agreement, and we're going to be hopefully discussing with him when he can pull his boat into the harbor. It's the recommendation of the Harbor Commission that once the license agreement is signed, we can allow him to slip in the harbor. However, we want to discuss about how we can address the rent moving forward while his business is under the cover just like everybody else's of COVID-19. We had some discussion regarding the outfall pipe. It looks as though the outfall pipe is initially completed, but there is a punch list of items that were made evident by Trevor, the engineer, after the Harbor Commission last night. I followed up with him, including the white caps on the posts, and also what the disposition of it is going to be with regard to putting warning signs up on the bulkheads so watercraft operators and swimmers aren't harmed by crashing into the bulkhead, crashing into the pilings there and on themselves. The Environmental Commission is going to meet next week, hopefully via a conference call, and I'll have an update for the environmental next month because actually, Joe, I'm going to defer to you about the Christmas trees. Is that okay?
Yeah, you can talk if you want. We're there.
Yeah, I mean, Joe and I both at different times observed that the dunes at the Cedar Street Dune Project are really progressing well. This is a project that, as everybody knows, Victoria and Joe and I have been involved with for the last few years, and it's really come out and served its purpose. The Environmental Commission did a test site of Christmas trees on the back dunes, and they buried them in January, right?
February, 3 months ago.
February, and I wasn't there for that. And they were completely buried, and when Joe took a look at it, they were unburied. They were exposed. Wind had exposed them. So we found that they are secure in the sand, and we're going to continue the experiment, right, Joe? And if he has anything to add afterwards, that's fine. Our next step is going to be to gather sand from the shoreline and bring it up to the Christmas trees and try and bury them again. We're hopefully during the winds of April and May, they'll get back, and the dunes will start to restore around them. I suspect that might be the case as well. The Health and Recycling Department, we did not meet, but there's been quite a few updates to the KeyportRecycles.com website regarding some of the issues that we're addressing during the COVID-19 emergency. Of particular note is the use of plastic bags in recycling bins has seemed to had a resurgence, and if everybody can do their part and notify their neighbors and spread the word, no plastic bags in recycling bins, just cans and cardboard and plastic, that's it, okay? I invite everybody again to have a look at the recycling website. The recycling center is going to be closed until further notice. That's a blanket closure now. It's not going to expire until the council agrees or the recycling committee and DPW agrees. Leaf bags are still available, and you can call and ask for them, and DPW will deliver them. And the shredding event for Saturday, May 16th has been canceled. Hopefully that's just a postponement, but the official shredding event has been canceled. And I believe that's about it. I might be forgetting something, but I'm sure if anybody knows I am, they'll pick me up on that. Thanks, Mayor, and thanks Keyport for allowing me to serve.
Councilman Cosapoulos, in regards to the lease or license, whichever way you guys are deciding to move forward with, that's still yet to be on the agenda for council to vote for to extend their renewal, because they were only in for 1 year. That was brought up back in January, and the attorney was going to have that. So I don't know if you and Mark have discussed how we're moving forward with that, but we definitely have to get that on an agenda for council approval soon before he goes into the flip.
Mayor, we actually talked about it this morning, and we talked about it last night at the Harbor Commission meeting. Certainly, there was breakage on my part, but we are expediting the process now. It can be put on the agenda for next month, but the Harbor Commission would like to review the license agreement for all of the what should I say, the vendors at the harbor. We're talking about the boat, the fishing boat, the kayak concession if that's ever to open, the hot dog concession if that's ever to open, and also we'd like to have they're going to want to have a look. They are going to look at the locker agreement, the locker lease agreement. I forwarded all that material to Nancy Smalling, the chair of the Harbor Commission, as of this morning, and we'll make sure we put a fire under it and get it done.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Good?
Thank you, Mayor. For the month of March, our fire department is called out for 18 calls totaling 85.17 hours. Including for 2 accident cleanups, a natural gas leak, 4 medical assists. Of course, our volunteer first aid and fire department are dealing with many of the challenges, I guess, that all of the other towns are dealing with. They're going above and beyond not only their daytime jobs, but responding to these situations, and got to commend them for everything that they do. I know also with the first aid, there was Pix 11, I believe, did a little segment on the first aid. So I don't know if everybody got a chance to watch that. That was very nice. With regard to the planning board, we're meeting this week. Redevelopment, really no change since, I guess, a month ago, because we're still, I guess, dealing with 75 Manchester, I guess, is, I'll say, for lack of a better term, the closest to something occurring, which everything else is just, everything's put on hold, actually, but in terms of something new, I guess the next thing up would be possibly discussing some. But until the emergency declaration is over, I think, essentially redevelopment is halted. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Was that a new Pix 11? Because the one that I saw was the one from 2 years ago. I think people were just sharing it to remind everyone about our first aid. Or did they come to a new one?
What's it?
2018 in April.
Then I stand corrected, because I thought, I saw that one a couple of years ago too, and I seem to, you're right, it might have been.
I think they definitely deserve a shout out. That's why I was asking. I was glad if they got another shout out, because they definitely been working hard. So maybe I need to request Pix 11 to come do an update. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Councilwoman McDermott.
Hello, thank you, Mayor. So I want to talk about construction. So Lori Graham attended a BCA webinar related to the construction department, and she was able to share some essential links that were uploaded onto the Keyport online page. It talked about COVID-19 construction, how construction projects can continue, and also just some FAQ to help citizens and residents understand the construction policies during this time. Also, most of the staff has moved to the SBL ability, also able to do this from home, so they're able to do their jobs virtually and to tablets when they do have to go on site to do any inspections and take images. So I do want to thank them for working on doing initiatives and getting that done for us, and also sharing information for our citizens. Regarding construction department, the report was shared, but we did have 2 zoning inspections. I've just identified key points of interest. Property abatement inspections 18. We did have 3 summons issued. Vacant property registrations, we have 4. We did have zoning applications 20 and UCCA inspections 68. Okay, so now moving on to the rec committee. Due to just some logistics and planning, the Easter egg, the Easter on the fire truck, whatever it's called, that's what the name was, didn't happen. But the rec committee is meeting next month, beginning of next month. So there are some significant impacts to our summer programs due to this point that the state has stopped for actions on COVID-19. So, that includes like the summer activities, that's all on hold. That includes the kayak program that we, it's a lot of things that we do along with partnership with the Harbor Commission, kind of do that concurrently with the waterfront, the Yoga by the Bay, those programs like that, all that stuff has been kind of stopped. We have received applications, and those are just put on standstill for now. But again, we are going to continue to see what we can do as a rec committee to help our community as best possible, practicing social distancing. And now so there might be some creative ideas, but again, the meeting's coming up next month. So, and I do want to thank the borough for really creating the conference calls and even the Zoom to be able for us to meet and have these sessions that, sorry, we were not able to. So I do appreciate the work that the borough has done, along with the mayor and our VA. So that's when I want to kind of update with the rec committee. Regarding farmers market for KBBC, we did get approval that once KBBC is meeting this Wednesday for kind of an urgent meeting, a public meeting, but once it's approved, the farmers market is actually authorized by the state. So once they're ready to go, once the KBBC approves that, we can go ahead and have farmers market. And again, that would be practice social distancing, making sure that we don't have more than, the allowance of gatherings there. But that's good news so that, we can have some fresh produce to our residents. And, looking forward to some of that stuff. And again, KBBC events have been put on hold until further notice. And what KBBC has done is for some of the funding that we would use for like the Music Thursdays, we use that to help create webinars and resources for our businesses and a commercial property as well on the Visit KeyPort website. So those are on there. There's also, so please look at those resources. And we want to make sure that any information that goes out is being put on KeyPort Online as well as the KBBC Visit KeyPort website. So concurrently, when it comes to business-related information, that's on to the KBBC specifically, but that is also on the KeyPort Online website. So, kind of reference those websites if you want to know anything about small business SBA loans. And we do know there was a controversy recently with the SBA funding being given to untraditional small businesses. And that was not something that as KBC, we're not happy with that. But again, we will continue to work with our legislative bodies and now, at the state and at the federal level to advocate for our businesses in town. But again, and also one key thing I do want to note, if any business comes and inquires about why am I not open or what can I do and cannot do, they should be going to the mayor. They should be going to the police chief. And again, with that, that's like a first kind of protocol, first line. And then from there, that goes out to the designated resources that will go out. So one of the key things we want to make sure that we're preventing rumors or, why is this business not open? Why is this business open? There's a lot of litigation and information that needs to be followed along, and Mr. Moon can attest to that. There's a lot of ordinances and compliance and governance that we have to follow. So we want to make sure that communication that comes to our businesses is coming from where we need to confirm. So there's a lot of stuff a lot of information is being sent over to the state and also the feds, when it goes to the federal level, but, to confirm whether it's allowed or not. So I do want to make sure we're following those protocols, and as council members, if we receive those calls, please follow them up and do include myself in the communication as a board member of KBBC. That's for that one. So, and keep Clean Communities report. Just want to highlight some key things. KCC has assisted with monitoring playgrounds and parks to ensure the areas are blocked off and are not being used. Also, they have had some empty N95 masks and wipes. So again, if they need some of those utilities, I know we just received a huge load from a donation from a resident. So again, they may ask for some of the supplies, and if they're available, I'll provide them. Now, there is an issue with the grants. The 2020 Clean Communities grant hasn't been distributed yet. That's typically done in April and May, and that's aligned with the COVID-19 budget halt. So again, we're pending that grant to be issued. So there's no updates on that unless it's a change between this update. And also, there's going to be some decals that are going to be put on other vehicles to say the branding for the Clean Communities on the trucks and stuff like that. So that's my report. And lastly, I do want to thank all our borough staff and all our frontline volunteers, as we kind of did at the beginning, the fire department, the chief police, and our first aid. And I know it's a very trying time with the entire COVID-19, but I do want to say as a community, I do believe we'll get through this. And we will continue to support our businesses as we see new businesses actually open up right now recently, last week. So again, you want to go ahead and support those, do curbside or delivery, if we can. Financially support that'd be great. That would help the businesses as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman President Sheridan.
Hi.
Over square.
So for the police, you guys can hear me?
Yeah.
They had 784 calls for service with 56 case files. I'm just going to skip right to the rest of the report. They participated in Read Across America in the beginning of March prior to the COVID restrictions. The police academy has been delayed. It is currently in the process of figuring out how they can do virtual learning, so they're unsure when their parents will graduate. The police department had a noted increase from March to April for Narcan deployments, with 4 in one weekend. They required 2 machines and 55 gallons of solution to sanitize the borough vehicles as well as the buildings. Currently, this is basically a spray they can use to sanitize the buildings, the cars. I think the fire and the first aid are also going to be using some of this. As of yesterday, there were approximately 55 residents in town who tested positive for COVID-19. Currently, the police department is at full capacity. We're working on scheduling officers to be tested for antibodies. Any borough employee that has been exposed but is not symptomatic can be nasal swab tested at the immediate care in Airport Plaza. It's fully covered by insurance. And lastly, they'll be picking up more masks, either probably tomorrow if they have it today, and we'll be giving some to the fire department. The Green Team actually meets this week, so I'll have a report for you next month. The Municipal Alliance, the county funding and programming has actually been frozen for the time being, so we're kind of figuring out how to move forward with that. And then just to give you guys a quick update on the MPP, the committee is moving forward as best as it can. We're actually going to be meeting via conference tomorrow. We're working to move forward with the Farmers Park. There's some stuff on the agenda today regarding, tree removal and some new tables and seating for Farmers Park, and just going forward from there. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Just to piggyback real quick before we move on to Council President Sheridan, if I could just explain the 55 number that you brought up. Thanks for bringing that up, Councilwoman. You got to explain this on the conference call today. One of the small challenges about the information that comes out about these numbers is that
Mayor Kennedy, you have a terrible echo.
How about now?
A little better.
So, just to explain, the number 55 that Councilman Pacheco brought up, the reporting numbers, anyone that was originally diagnosed, like say our first case, never comes off of that list. So they could have been sick for 2 weeks and already recovered for 3 weeks, but they're still counted in that 55. So when you see these numbers that are coming out from the county and the state, that doesn't mean that those are necessarily the current active cases. There is no way to go back and figure out who's been recovered 100%. There is no reporting structure for that. So I just that might help calm some people out in the general public. The numbers that we received for Keyport from the start of when our first case was ever received until today is, I think you said 55, right, Victoria? 55.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So hopefully, I don't know if that's been explained to anyone, but hopefully that helps ease some minds also that it doesn't necessarily mean that there's 55 current active cases. Does that help?
Yes.
Thank you. And then Councilwoman Pacheco or McDermott, so either of you have a library construction update?
Yes, so I can give you the last update was regarding the focus right now as part of the MPP grant. The focus for the library construction will be the roof. That's going to be one of the first projects that are going to be initiated because of the MPP grant and the timeliness that we have to initiate that project. That's one of the first projects. Regarding anything after that, that's still be determined because we are waiting for architect reports to be finalized, or those reports from the engineering team.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Well, just for the record too, we do have it later on in the agenda. We have an MPP report that would detail exactly how much has been allocated to the roof from the MPP grant. Whatever.
Okay. Thank you. Just for grant purpose reasoning, it's better to have it in our minutes that, when the meetings were and stuff like that. So as long as there's some kind of report in our minutes, that's fine. Council President Sheridan, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. The Veterans Initiatives and BUS Subcommittee April meetings have been skipped. We're looking forward to having meetings in May. The Keyport Historical Society is staying in touch with each other through email, and they're looking at getting into virtual tours and very creative items. Finance will be meeting this Thursday, April 23rd, for a teleconference, and we're expecting to introduce the municipal budget May 5th. That's all I have right now, other than to thank all our first responders and police and fire and mayor and the staff. I think it's a phenomenal effort. I think we're doing as best we can to deal with something that really hasn't been dealt with before. And I just want to tip my hat to all you people working so hard. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go back and see if Councilman Cooper is on the phone. Okay. Since that, I'll just give a quick library update. We've been working on many initiatives and projects, even though the building has been closed to the public. They're on a rotating work schedule on who's in the building and working so that everything is properly distanced and so forth. They are weeding is what a project that was identified by a consultant company a couple of years ago of what they needed to do. I think Councilman Pacheco, you were on the library committee member when that was all going on. So we're working on that project. You remember that, right?
They got like a report to the consultant.
Yeah, I remember, and they had thought about all the weeding that needed to be done or something, and updating the books and stuff. So they're getting a lot of that done. And they're working on a lot of virtual programming. So if you follow their social media pages, you'll be able to see a lot of the stuff that they've been able to come up with, which is kind of unique and fun. They actually also worked closely with the school district superintendent to try and provide some virtual programming during last week over spring break. It was reported today that over 400 hits were made for the programming initiative. So that means that the families were definitely being attractive. So that's exciting to see all the collaborative measures coming together. There's nothing really exciting about anything that's going on right now, but it is nice to see different things being worked on together that hadn't been in the past. So that's the library update. Since Councilman Cooper's not here. I have a few updates.
Excuse me, Mayor, are you and Michelle in the same room?
Yes.
Michelle, can you mute yourself? Lower left-hand corner, I think.
Is she muted now?
Yeah, now she's muted.
Yeah,
And did that reduce the feedback?
Yeah, solve the
absolutely.
Awesome.
Way to go,
We're all
Jack.
learning this all together. Yes, right? Okay. So just a reminder that we're here tonight to conduct our regularly scheduled council meeting remotely for the third time. And we're truly appreciative of everyone's efforts as we work on getting through the global pandemic together. We continue to work collaboratively in the borough to be as proactive as possible for what might come next during this crisis. We also continue to make every stride to keep the borough running in the sense of keeping the water and lights on, as well as everything else flowing as usual. We truly appreciate the understanding and support from our constituents. I, along with as many council members pointed out, was disappointed to learn that the PPP and SBA relief efforts ran out of funds last week, and that the small business owners, most of which make up the heart of Keyport, were not part of the funding. We have sent letters to the members of Congress and Senate, and we'll be sending additional letters to state representatives with suggestions for possible future funding plans. With all that said, I do feel it's also imperative to take a moment to remind some people, albeit not many, that while we work hard every day to reduce panic or fear and to keep a sense of calmness within the borough, that doesn't mean our borough staff hasn't been handling a lot of extra things behind the scenes on a continual and daily basis. It is also important to note that our borough has not hired additional staff to handle all of these new daily tasks, and it would be appreciated if the members of the public respected this matter and understood the extra work the employees are all facing, including sanitizing each vehicle between shifts, learning new regulations almost daily, all of which impact the normal operating procedures and calls for new procedures to be implemented often. Therefore, in consultation with our borough administrator, as of this evening, the employees will be granted permission to not have to answer every email that is being sent to them, especially if it's not regarding an urgent matter, but more of along the lines of a perpetual questioning. It is not the appropriate time for that kind of behavior. We appreciate everyone's understanding and continuing to work together. Please remember to stay calm and feel free to reach out with general questions or safety concerns. Now we will move on to the consent agenda. So I'm muting mine, so then if you that way, there won't be feedback from mine.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 13920 is the payment of bills. Resolution 14020, authorizing the adoption of rules of operation for the Main Street Park Skate Park facility. Resolution 14120 is authorizing the retention of Mott McDonald for engineering services to perform water reduction study. Resolution 14220, authorizing increasing the salary of Joseph Crane as a part-time plumbing subcode official inspector. Resolution 14320, authorizing the purchase of tree removal services as part of the borough's implementation of the Neighborhood Preservation Program Plan. And Resolution 14420 is authorizing the purchase of tables and benches as part of the borough's implementation of the Neighborhood Preservation Program Plan.
Madam Mayor,
Thank you. Yes.
we're going to pull 14020.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm asking, not, I'm
You
not.
need a second on that, Dennis?
What is that?
You need
Right,
a
I think
second?
that was just advice by the attorney, so I think,
Right, we need that motion.
right. I think I apologize. I think Councilman Thomas, I thought you were saying you were as an emotion, but you were actually asking. I apologize.
So motion to remove 14020.
You want to remove it, like, table it?
Motion to
Oh,
remove.
I think, perfect. Okay.
Second.
Okay. Do we have all in favor to pull that? There's more questions that need to come forward to satisfy the JIP insurance regulations.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to pulling it? Okay, thank you. Any other council members have any discussion about items on the consent agenda? Can I have a motion to open to the public, please?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Reminder to the public that this is for items on the consent agenda only, and we respect that and hope that you keep it to just general questions at this point in time.
Hi, Elmer J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. Hello, can you hear me? Hi, can you all explain Resolution 14120?
The one that's the resolution that got pulled?
No.
No, resolution.
Not McDonald.
Oh.
41.
25-year contracts with two different water companies to supply water to the borough. What they're going to do is do a study to see how we can get away from taking that water and starting using more of our water once the plan becomes operational. So that's what they're doing.
Okay, now, that's all well and good, but will the taxpayers have to pay for this study?
It's not the taxpayers; it's the ratepayers of the utility that use the water utility. But it's something that has to be done in order to wean ourselves off of these two companies.
I think it's within the budget of the revenue from the water utility, is it not?
Councilman Katopoulos is confirming that it's within the budget of the water utility. Is that correct? Yes, Councilman Katopoulos.
So essentially, Elmer, it's not going to cost the taxpayers any, or the people that pay for water anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think Mr. Kelsey had his hand up.
Yes. Andrew Kelsey, 29 St. Peter's Place. I just had a question about the skate park rules. I noticed it only allows for skateboards and no other types of compatible uses, and I was wondering what the reasoning was behind that.
That's part of the discussion we're having and why we pulled it. We'll have an update for you.
Okay, that's great. Thanks.
Thank you.
You can't, Michael, just
Mr. Lane.
Mike Lane, 51 First Street, Freeport. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. On your resolution 140 that you tabled, is in the future you're going to delineate what times are night times and who's responsible for locking the facility? And also, I've noticed in other skate parks, bicycle riders think that's an excellent location. So how are you going to enforce that? Then relative to R144, the NPP activities, Is there any reason that the NPP meetings are not teleconference, just like the Green Teams and the Keyport Environmental Commission, et cetera, Harbor Commission?
I don't know that they need to be. I'll defer that to Mr. Moon, but they're not, I don't think they need to be, do they?
They're not public meetings. They're basically advisory. All of the actions that they take, they essentially come through the council as formal recommendations anyway. So, for example, when the plan was adopted, the council approved it. When they want to make expenditures, as you see tonight, the council is the one approving it. So the official action is taken by this body.
I asked where is the plan posted, and the last report that the borough administrator put in December of last year was that we were going to have a focus group meetings to help define the plan, and none of that has taken place. So again, this thing is proceeding without the criteria that was defined prior to the end of the year.
Mr. Lane, Mr. Moon worked extensively with the city and the stakeholder meetings and the public survey that went out back in November, I think it was, they felt was sufficient enough, but I'll let Mr. Moon defer. I'll defer to Mr. Moon to confirm.
Yeah, the plan was approved by the board. First of all, it was approved by the Department of Community Affairs first. The plan was submitted at the end of February. The DCA approved it, and then the borough adopted it. I believe it was the meeting right after that. So it was like the first meeting in, I want to say March, that it was brought before this body and adopted.
Now, I know the boundary conditions and that information, but where is the plan posted?
I don't know if it's posted anywhere, but if I'm not mistaken, it was circulated at that meeting that it was adopted.
I asked the council to take the action to get the plan posted and to consider that those meetings should be teleconferenced. All right.
Thank you for your suggestion. Do you have any other questions, Mr. Lane?
I do. Reports that were given by 3 different council people, Councilman Good, Dennis Patopoulos, and Councilwoman McDermott, all related to planning board activities and construction activities. And so what I missed was who's responsible for seeing that resolution conditions that are generated by the planning board get implemented in the projects. And I'll go back, Dennis, you started to talk about 317 Beer Street at the last meeting. Councilman Good, you were on the planning board when 317 Beer Street came up. And Councilwoman McDermott, I've sent you multiple emails about violations at 317 Beer Street. What's going on? How is this gap going to be closed?
I do trust that all the council members and the borough staff have been looking into it extensively with the many emails that have come forward regarding this topic and other projects throughout the borough.
And we have the same issue. We have the same issues with Green Grove. Who's responsible for running the checklist that the conditions have been met and verifying they've been met and then documenting that somewhere in the files? Green Grove's the same thing. Parking issues, etc.
Okay.
Mr. Lane, I believe that we can.
I'm sorry, Councilman Good.
I'll defer to the mayor.
We're looking into it, and we'll make sure the files are updated.
So there will be a process.
Correct.
And somebody identified as being responsible.
Do you have any other suggestions or comments before we move on to the next?
Yeah, I did have one other set of comments. There was a building that was built at 37 First Street that the stop order has just been put in, and it was noted that it's already occupied and it's in total violation of all the flood damage prevention requirements for breakaway walls, etc. And this was the second time that this property owner did a construction that was completely in violation. How did this happen?
Ms. Lane, I believe all your emails about this topic have been answered extensively, as well as the many other people you've asked to email us on the same subject, as well as circumventing the process instead of going to one department. You have sent multiple emails to everybody within the borough multiple times on this topic. And the work order was enforced, and all the things that you have brought forward have been addressed or are currently being addressed, and you are aware of that. Is there anything else you would like to discuss on the agenda items?
How could the property owner be allowed to go so?
Mr. Lane, is there anything else on the consent agenda you would like to discuss?
Hang on for a second.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, there's one other item. The 26 Waverly. Large amount of construction is going on there.
Another item that's been addressed already, and you're aware of that. Is there anything else on the consent agenda you would like to discuss?
I'm suggesting that it has not been addressed.
That's to your understanding that you think that, but our police chief has confirmed that he's already addressed it.
Well, then
this is a police matter and not a consent agenda item either.
I should be able to get a copy of the documentation that proves the assertion that this project is legal.
Mr. Lane, I have the utmost respect for our staff in our borough right now and how they're handling the operations during a world crisis. So if you're going to continue to question our chief of police and our entire police department on a daily basis, I'm not really sure this is going to go so well for everybody. I'm asking you to respect the extra work and time and safety protocols that they are making sure are adhered to within our borough on a continuous and daily basis.
I'm asking for a response to my request as to how this is legal.
The police chief feels it is, and I'm not going to continue to ask him when he has a lot of other things on his plate. Again, I defer to the consent agenda. Do you have any questions on the consent agenda?
I'm finished my questions at this point.
Thank you. Any other members of the public have questions on the consent agenda? Have a motion to close to the public?
To close the public.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with noting that resolution 140-20 has already been pulled?
Motion to approve the
Table,
consent
sorry.
agenda with 140-20 removed table.
Can I have a roll call, please, by the clerk?
Councilmember Cooper? No. Councilmember Fotopoulos?
Yes.
Councilmember Good?
I'm sorry, I just got kicked off for a second. I assume that there was a motion to accept and a second. Is that what we're voting on?
Consent agenda, right?
Yes, then yes.
Councilmember McDermott?
Yes.
And Councilmember Pacheco?
Yes.
And Councilmember Sheridan?
Yes.
Thank you. Next is the introduction of ordinance, amending and supplementing certain sections of the flood damage prevention ordinance. Oh, Michelle, can you mute? Oh, no.
This is an ordinance of the Borough of Keyport, County of Monmouth, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 15 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Keyport.
Thank you. Can I please have a motion to introduce?
Motion.
Second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Fotopoulos?
Yes.
And Councilmember Good?
Yes.
And Councilmember McDermott?
Yes.
And Councilmember Pacheco?
Yes.
And Councilmember Sheridan?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Councilman Good on his work on this strong effort, and he answered a couple of my questions. And yes.
My pleasure, Joe.
Thank you. Can I have a motion authorizing the clerk to publish the ordinance as introduced in the Asbury Park Press for a public hearing?
Motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or none? Great. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have an approval of minutes from the April 7th, 2020 meeting. I can have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Does anyone have to abstain? No.
I just wanted to
It's also a great job, Michelle. I mean,
right. Let's take
This is-
that's last.
we're in the same month.
I'm trying.
There's a worldwide pandemic going on. Awesome, Michelle. Great job.
I just have a tiny glitch. Hold on one second, guys.
So we have to cut down the compliments.
Council, only because I can't ask all of you at one time. Council President, can you confirm in your packet whether you had communications?
Whether I had communication?
Or, my packet only missing a thing.
Uh,
Do you have a letter from the fire department?
Yeah, I do.
I do remember the letter from the fire department.
I do
I do
also.
too. You know what, that's not the copy I brought down
I'm
there.
sorry.
That's why, it's my fault. Okay.
That was the updated agenda.
Right. I brought the wrong one downstairs. Sorry. All right, so, we have to go back to that. We have a communication by consent, letter from the fire department, requesting use of Fireman's Park.
Michelle needs to mute her.
Can you mute? This is the last minute added to the agenda from the packets that they received hard copies of at home. And this was due to the current circumstances of COVID-19 that the fire inspection cannot take place on the normal scheduled first Saturday of May, which is by ordinance. So we had requested a couple weeks ago for the fire department to finalize a new date and put in writing for a proposal. So this is a letter from the Keyport Fire Department requesting use of Fireman's Park from Friday, October 2nd, 11 p.m. through Saturday, October 3rd, 7:30 p.m. to move their annual department inspection. And then the other item is neighborhood PVP monthly progress report to be filed. We're going to have a motion to, does any council member have any commentary on either of those items? Have a motion open to the public to discuss either of those two items.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any members of the public wish to speak on those two items?
Would you identify the items again, please?
The two items are to move the annual fire inspection from the first Saturday in May, when it usually is held according to ordinance, to October 2nd. The other one is a preservation program monthly progress report submission. So it's a file report.
Hi, Elmer J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. Can you explain more or less, if you can, the neighborhood preservation monthly progress report as of April 16th?
I can.
Okay.
I have to pull it up in front of me, but basically it's just kind of an outline of what the committee has been working on. It, We spoke a little bit about the trees and the benches. That's on there. There's also been some movement with the mural project where, you know, the committee's been able to identify a couple places for a possible mural as long as the artists. And also there was discussion about our coordination with the library construction committee regarding the roof. And I can't think if I'm forgetting anything else, but it was along those lines.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman.
I just want to add also, if you read the minutes, it'll give you, it's actually broken up by topic and like trees and shrubs. Road closings. We're also looking for where the American Legion has flooding. So looking for markers there so that we could block the street when there is flooding. So there's a lot of different projects listed in there. So if you review that, that will outline exactly what's being done there. Thank you.
And that was
Can we just send that to the public?
That's in the communications already. Yes.
No, I mean, can we send a copy of that to Elmer? And if Mike wants one, Mike.
Oh,
it's part of the packet.
Yes, part of the
That
packet.
was posted. The whole packet is posted now since we're having virtual meetings.
Elmer, you want me to send you a copy of this?
Yeah, okay. You can get my Gmail from Michelle.
Sure.
I'll get that to you.
Maybe Michelle can send you the packet.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just comment again. The packet does not contain the plan for Fireman's Park. And there's a second issue, rain garden. I would hope we're not going to do any rain garden in Fireman Park until the ground is elevated.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak on these two items? Our motion to close to the public.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we have a motion to approve and receipt and file the two pieces of communication.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any nays or noes? Thank you. Councilman Good, can you please defer to the fire chief and let him know that that's been approved so that he's aware that the extension is through. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we have reports of department.
Report number 1 is the municipal clerk's report from March 2020. Report number 2 is the tax water sewer collector's report from March 2020. Report number 3 is the Board of Health Treasurer's report for March 2020. Report number 4 is the building department monthly report for March 2020. Report number 5 is the municipal court monthly report for March 2020. And report number 6 is the Clean Communities report from March 11 through April 16, 2020.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve, accept and file the reports by the Hines?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any abstain?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone have any new business from a council member or attorney?
Yes. Madam Mayor?
Yes.
As I brought up in the report, we'd like the Harbor Commission, Councilwoman Pacheco and I would like the attorney to follow up with Lawrence Luttrell, the attorney for Port 149, owners Mike and Kevin Nosty, to get an update, official update, and find out how they would like to proceed or how they are proceeding in a schedule for the bulkhead where they're at with it. Mark, if you want, Vicki and I can teleconference with you and we can explain what we're looking for with that, okay?
Yeah. If that works, we can kind of have a conversation offline and work on the draft.
Yep.
Let me know when you guys want to talk. We can get this done.
Available.
Any other new business?
Is that okay with the rest? Is that okay with the rest of the council?
Yeah, you guys are members of Harbor Commission, so it makes sense for you guys to work on it and then present back what you guys are able to find out, right? That's what you're asking for, right?
Yep.
I do have something, McDermott. Tom our BA has sent the municipal AIDS grant document out to us. And because it's a timely grant that we have to begin to move forward, I think one of the key things is we need to kind of make a decision as to where we want to focus we need to have a decision today on where we're going to go ahead and focus the energy to get this grant done for the municipal grants. So one was road.
Hold on. Tom, does that have to be done this meeting or next meeting?
It should be done as soon as possible. If I can get information from everybody, and I can put it together and come up with the plan.
Okay, well, you circulated all your commentary back, right?
Right.
Did anyone answer that commentary?
Yes.
Are you waiting for others?
Yes.
Okay. So if everyone is asked now to make sure they respond to you by this weekend, and then it's for it to be on the next agenda, is that enough time, or does that cut us out of the grant?
No, I'll do resolve.
And then identify, and then we'll have something on the agenda for the next meeting. Does that work? Does that work, Councilwoman Pacheco? McDermott?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so members of council, if you have not responded to the municipal aid grant suggestions, I think Denise sent out the latest summary yesterday. So if you can just respond to Mr. Henshaw so he has the tabulated information, then we'll get it ready for the next meeting.
Madam Mayor, can we actually, Council President Joe, can we put that on the agenda for the Finance Committee meeting?
Of course.
Finance Grants Committee? Thanks.
Okay, great. So communication will happen, and then we'll get it ready for the next meeting, okay? Okay, thank you. Any other new business? Unfinished business? Attorney's report?
Move to report.
Okay, I have a motion to open to the public.
Motion. Second.
Motion to the public. All in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
First member of the public with a reminder that it's 5 minutes per person maximum.
Hi, Elmer J. Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. Couple of things. First of all, how's the search for a permanent borough administrator going?
I believe it is fully paused.
Progress
again?
but paused. It's in progress but paused. Under the current circumstances, it's not really moving forward at this point in time, but it's not for lack of our efforts.
Okay. Next question. I've asked this before. Once this is all cleared up, I'll ask it again. When's our chance of getting Governor Murphy to come to Keyport for a town hall? When this is all cleared up?
I don't know, Mr. Graham.
Okay, well, just keep on it if you can, all right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Anyone else from the public wish? Mr. Lane?
Couple of real quick ones. Have you gotten any feedback on the NESE pipeline?
Well, we sent the resolution to the state. And then we added that's our second or third resolution that we've done. So we did send that out after the last meeting that you requested for us to put it on. We did put it on. Right, Councilman Papoulis?
Yeah. You asking me for input?
No, didn't we put that on at his request? And you just checked with environmental and we put it on, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That wasn't my question. The question is, have we heard any feedback?
Oh, I've never heard back ever, anytime I've ever sent a resolution on. I think they kind of motion to file like we do with our stuff.
There was during one of the governor's press conferences, he was asked about that. If you want to take a look at some background, but I haven't heard anything other than that.
All right. Second item, at the Harbor Commission meeting, there was talk of a need for a pile to warn the boaters relative to the outfall pipe. And Mr. Wade Peterson indicated that, since he sold the marina, he no longer has a pile driver. But I just mentioned Mike Minnick has the capability to put piles in, and he lives in Keyport, right here on First Street, and he's done piles for me.
I like Mike. He, but I don't know if we're going to do a pile. It's part of the punch list.
Okay.
All right, but it may just be a strong timber of sorts attached to one of the existing pilings with a light and a sign.
All right. As long, I don't know if you remember when they used to have the bunker nets in the bay, and yes, they were all lit at night.
Yep, I definitely remember. But yes, we're on it.
All right. Dumpsters. The borough has spent money, built a really nice dumpster enclosure along Ring Road, American Legion Drive. But there's still one dumpster that hasn't made it into the nest. What's going on?
That dumpster doesn't fit in there because the dumpster enclosure was not built according to what we had approved or expected. So there is not room in there for that particular dumpster. And it doesn't fit in there.
Is that dumpster going to be enclosed?
Previous administration had told him to not worry about it, but we do have to look into and follow up on that. And then,
Well, we do have an ordinance, and I'd assume that we enforce our ordinance.
Thank you, Ms. Sterling.
I had one other thing, but I can't read my writing.
Sure.
Sorry.
That's all right. Take a minute.
Yeah. Neither one of us can.
Linda just commented too.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'll figure it out. Well, give me a minute.
Tomorrow, maybe. This one's tough.
Lunch request.
Buyer?
Oh.
Buyer?
Good job, Linda.
No, it's not that either, he says.
We already went through that issue. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're done, Ms. Sterling, or do you want to wait? Okay. Anyone else from the public on the phone have any questions or comments during public session?
No, from Andrew.
Okay. I have a motion to close to the public.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any ayes? Noes? And I have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone, for working together for us to figure out our first council Zoom meeting.